Hey, how's it going everyone? Outlaw Client here, back once again this week. And what can I say? The Smash hype is here, guys. You can't run, you can't hide. Smash Brothers for the Nintendo Switch is coming. But of course we all know that it was coming, we just didn't know when, how, or where. And luckily all those questions have been answered in the latest Nintendo Direct. Now, a lot of people, including myself, aren't 100% sure as to whether it's going to be a brand new game or it's just going to be a port, more like a Smash 4.5. But what I do know is that there are several features that I'd love to see improved or just enhanced for the latest version. And in no particular order, I'll just start my top 5 list. So first up, I'd love to see the return of... Now, I'm not just talking about any Break the Targets mode, I'm talking about the classic version, the true full-on classic. Now, I know at the moment we have, I believe it's called Target Blast. I don't really like Target Blast that much. I know there are some people out there who absolutely love it, and that's completely fine. But the type of Break the Targets that I was looking for is the classic one. The classic Smash 64 version, which every character had their individual stage, and you sort of had to use, take full advantage of your character's abilities in order to break those targets, as the name suggests. Now, the Smash 64 version was great, but Smash Melee just took it up a notch and added in even more features for the individual characters, even changing the aesthetics. It involved using wall jumps, just a ton of new features for each of the characters. And again, one of my favourite features by far out of all of the extras that this game has to offer, which I should add, is a ton of extra features anyway. Now, next up, coming in at number 4, I'd like to see the return of a different mode such as Smash Run or Subspace Emissary. Now, looking back at Smash on the Wii U, we had, sorry, I shudder to even say it, but we had Smash Tour. Now, the Smash Tour mode was, they tried to make it interesting, but it had its ups, it had its downs. Okay, you know what, no, to be honest, it was just pure garbage. I can see what they were trying to do. I give them some points for trying to do something completely different, but ultimately I just felt like it was garbage. It's hard to explain, it's just something you have to experience, or in this case maybe just stay well away from it. However, it did have a really cool feature at the end, which was you could have teams with different characters on them, which in this game, if you know Smash in the series, usually the stock mode just has the stock of the exact same character, but at the end of this you would do battle with all of your remaining characters, which is a really cool feature. I'd love to see a mode like that on its own. But getting back to the Smash Run or the Smash Run version. Now, on the Nintendo 3DS version of Smash Brothers 3DS, you could actually play Smash Run, and if you aren't too familiar with Smash Run, it's sort of like Kirby Air Ride, City Trial mode. And if you aren't familiar with that, then I'll just explain all of it. So what you do is you walk about in the stage, you collect power-ups, you fight enemies from the franchise, which again, that was actually a huge negative to the Subspace Emissary and Brawl, but I'll get to that later. But as I was saying, you'd fight enemies from the different series, such as Goombas from Mario Brothers or Redeads from The Legend of Zelda. But either way, you'd collect power-ups, and at the end of this, you'd be thrown into a random event in which you'd fight up against the other characters. Now, to be honest, the event was random, and sometimes you wouldn't even interact with the other computer characters or other player characters if you're playing with friends. So, what I'd like to see changed in that mode is just being able to interact with characters. It just sort of defeats the whole point of Smash Brothers when it's such a huge multiplayer game, and you don't even interact with the other players in the main area where you're collecting the power-ups. Alongside the fact that I said that there's even the chance that you won't even encounter them at the end as well, like there were some enemy rush type stages as well. Either way, what I'm trying to say is that I'd like to see the return of Smash Run in an enhanced manner. Now, if they don't do the return of Smash Run, I'd like to see a story mode type gameplay mode, much like the Subspace Emissary that I've mentioned a few times in Brawl. Now, back in Brawl, you'd play through the different chapters playing as different characters, or sometimes you'd get the selection of playing as multiple characters, and you'd see minor character interactions. Now, I thought it was pretty cool. They didn't speak. Again, I think when voice acting is done wrong, it can absolutely destroy an experience. Breath of the Wild. Oh, sorry there, my cough nearly stopped me from saying Breath of the Wild. But what I'm trying to say, well, at least the English voices. Anyway, sorry, that's a different video for a different time. But as I was saying, they could keep it silent. But what I wanted to see more is more of the character interactions. Now, of course, with Smash 4, I just call it Smash 4 because I'm covering both Wii U and 3DS versions. But in Smash 4, as you guys know, there's a much larger roster than compared to any Smash game. And I'd love to see all the different characters interacting with each other, especially some of the third-party characters as well, you know, like Sonic or Cloud or Bayonetta, you know, and so on. That would be a really cool thing to add in. Well, that's if they do return. But that was one of my biggest gripes with Subspace Emissary back in Brawl. There weren't enough character interactions for my liking. So yeah, a nice Subspace Emissary story mode would be really nice, and that's rounding off my number 4 pick. Now for my next 3 picks, I wasn't too sure what order to put them in, but I'd probably say this isn't in any particular order. I was really banking on putting this one in number 1 place. But anyway, my number 3 pick is for improved online modes. Now, we all remember Smash Bros. Brawl. That was absolutely atrocious, that online mode. It was laggy, long wait times, well, in my experience anyway. And Smash 4 did step it up a bit with adding in a few different modes. You know, it had for fun, it had for glory and so on, but these modes still felt quite limited. You know, you couldn't pick the types of stages. I mean, they tried to do flat stages, but I mean, some stages like Battlefield actually have decent competitive value to them. So I'd like to see more fleshed out ideas in online modes. Of course, a better netcode is. We all don't want lag, do we? But you know, unless you're a masochist, you love torturing yourself. But I'd love a better netcode, so for some smoother gameplay. Alongside, as I was saying previously, a better choice in stages. Maybe give you a few more options like Battlefield and so on. But ones that aren't completely random, or maybe just the removal of stage hazards in certain stages. That would be a pretty cool feature. But I'd also like to see maybe a one-on-one mode in for fun as well. I mean, some people avoided it just because of the netcode, avoided doing like for fun because you need 4 players and the netcode can get pretty dodgy. But if there was one-on-one matches, you'd only have to rely on one other person's connection being decent, sort of like the reason why I chose for glory one-on-one the most. So yeah, that'll be some nice additional features, or maybe even team modes with friends online. You know, going up against random people online with a friend from another Switch console. I nearly said Wii U then, but from another Switch console. So that'd be a pretty cool feature as well. But ultimately, just some more fleshed out online modes, just a ton of more options, and I think that would definitely make a lot of people happy, including myself. And with the soon arriving subscription fee, I can definitely see Nintendo putting a bit more effort into their online. So fingers crossed for that one. So next up in my number 2 spot, I have the release of a wide variety of brand new characters. Now, we all know that brand new characters are pretty much the heart and soul of the Smash Bros. Franchise. I mean, we can't go a single game without there being a huge character leak, and then a few moments later, or a few days or weeks later, we find out that the leak is completely false. And you just... rest in peace, Rayman. Sorry, I'm just still grieving to this day. But, as I said, a wide variety of characters, and that means the characters that have a decent amount or different types of gameplay styles, such as in Smash Wii U and 3DS we had Little Mac, who was really good on the ground but a terrible air fighter. Then we had like Rosalina and Luma, who had sort of like an ice climber dynamic going on there, so you could control 2 characters at once, although not as much as ice climbers, but either way. And then also characters such as Wii Fit Trainer, which is the oddball character as well. I mean, every game we always get an oddball character, like Game & Watch in Melee, Rob in Brawl, and then of course Wii Fit Trainer. I mean, did anyone actually see these characters coming? I think not. If you say yes, you're lying. Please tell me the truth. But as I was saying, I'd love to see a few oddball characters. You know, maybe Mac Rider or Karate Joe. You know, from the from Rhythm Heaven, I believe Karate Joe is from. Mac Rider from the game of the same name. I'm sure that Sakurai was saying that was a heavily considered character at one point, or that was his favourite character to enter into the fray. But I believe that was quite a while back, so who knows, we'll see what will happen, but I definitely wouldn't be disappointed. I don't know, maybe the fact that we've even mentioned him, we know that he's going to be, or we know that he's a character that was heavily considered. Maybe that already puts him at a disadvantage, because Sakurai and the team are trying to give us a character that no one would expect. I don't know, what do you guys think? But for returning, or for brand new characters that I'd love to see are characters such as ones from ARMS, Springman, Ribbon Girl, maybe even Kid Cobra, you know, throwing my boy Kid Cobra and I won't complain. But there are some other characters as well that I'd love to see, such as Wonder Red from the Wonderful 101 series. That game never got enough attention. I really have to go back and try that game out. And maybe even some characters from franchises that have been long underrepresented, like, you know, Metroid, of course, you know, a little franchise called Metroid. Samus has pretty much been the only representative. I know you might say Zero Suit Samus, but I mean, come on guys, this Samus and Zero Suit Samus, they're the same person. We can't really class that as a new representative, can we? So yeah, how about some Psylocke from Metroid Prime Hunters? I've heard that he has a huge role in the next Metroid game. Hint hint. Please Sakurai, give us Psylocke, please. But yeah, I'm sure you guys have a ton of different ideas for characters, so yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. And for my final pick in the #1 spot, I have the return of legacy characters. Now, I can completely understand why some characters got the cut, such as Pichu and Young Link, given that they were very similar to their other counterparts. I mean, to be honest, Young Link was my favourite character in Melee, but I can understand given that he's the weakest Link in all. Yeah, I apologise, I'll see myself out now. But what I'm trying to say is that with certain characters such as Toon Link replacing Young Link, then it opens up a range of, or a more varied moveset, which sort of links back to my #2 pick. And other characters as well, such as Wolf, which I'm sort of surprised actually, given that he had definitely a more varied playstyle than Falco. Again, Falco is actually one of my favourite characters as well, so yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that I was just a bit on the surprise side, given how varied some of their movesets are. Now, Ice Climbers is one of the hugest characters which a lot of fans were very upset not to see them come back, especially given their controversial reason for being taken out. I mean, the Ice Climbers, in case you aren't aware, the Ice Climbers were originally included in Smash Bros. Wii U. However, the 3DS was unable to handle the Ice Climbers, or having that many characters on the screen at the same time, or at least controlling them came up with some issue. Either way, what I'm trying to say is that they weren't able to make the cut due to technical limitations, and thus were completely slashed on both versions, given how Sakurai wanted to make the cast identical on both games. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Ice Climbers, to let you guys know. I mean, one chain grab can really change a guy's perception of them. But the thing is, the reason why I think they should come back still is that characters can always change. Just remember that. You may hate a character in a certain game given the mechanics then, but characters can really be improved in upcoming games. I mean, Smash Wii U, for example, got rid of the whole chain grab situation, given the, I believe it was like a 1.5 seconds cooldown between grabs. So chain grabs would definitely be a thing of the past, given that mechanic. So there's always potential for characters like that to come back in a completely new, changed way, and I'd say the exact same thing for Bayonetta, another one of my favourite characters in Smash. There's always room for improvement on characters, and I think cutting out characters with really cool designs and play styles just because of reasons, you know, unbalanced reasons, definitely shouldn't be considered. I mean, let's look at Meta Knight in Smash Bros. Brawl compared to Wii U. Totally different characters. Still good, but nowhere near as dominant as before. And of course, we have some guest or third-party characters as well, such as Solid Snake, which was a huge disappointment that he didn't return in Smash Wii U/3DS, and I can completely understand the reason why, given the licensing issues and stuff. And to be honest, it's looking even more grim given Konami's current situation with the whole Kojima situation. But anyway, I'd love to see some more returning characters, especially as I mentioned, those that have really varied movesets, so it sort of ties up my #2 and 1 nicely together. But again, that was my full list, guys. What do you think? Do you completely disagree with some of my opinions? Do you also think Smash Run is complete garbage? You're completely wrong in that case, guys. But on a serious note, yeah, just leave a comment. What do you guys think? Do you think there's anything else you'd add to this list, or is there something completely different that you're looking forward to? Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this, I'd greatly appreciate any likes and subscriptions, because I am still trying to reach that 1,000 subscriber goal. And of course, like always, I'll check out your channel if you leave a comment, since I'm trying to help others reach their goal as well. Anyway, with that, say thanks again, and I'll see you later. Peace out.